He's gonna shove it.
Yeah!
He's gonna shove it.
Hey guys!
Brick to the head, boys. Last time I reviewed NWA TNA, nobody watched, so I guess nobody wants to see it. But whilst I'm out on the lookout for new wrestling content, I'm going to keep doing this. Because I enjoy it, alright? So shut up or I'll smack you one. This is episode 28 and 29 of TNA. Now let's get it on. The show starts out with a sit-down interview of Mike TNA and Vince Russo. He says he'll do whatever he has to do to get people to watch the show. TNA then moves on to ask if Russo feels guilty about the death of WCW. Russo says that he only wrote WCW TV for 9 months and it wasn't his fault. TNA moves on to talk about how Russo killed the Cruiserweight division and says he shouldn't have focused the division around Evan Courageous. Seems weird to pick on him. The interview starts getting heated as they discuss David Arquette and the drop in WCW viewership. Russo says he doesn't believe him about the ratings and he doesn't believe him because TNA doesn't have proof in hand. Russo moves on to take credit for more fans watching TNA and he says that they're just here to see him. He storms off set to end the interview after 6 minutes. From Vince Russo to more Vince Russo as he comes out to the ring with his SEX faction. Russo is stood on a soapbox. I'm not sure why, maybe he should have opened it to clean his dirty mouth out. Russo invites people to join his faction, but instead Paul Bearer randomly comes out. I don't think they wanted him. Bearer says people have been waiting to hear what the fat man has to say, and Russo says, well, you've got the fat part right. We then get a history lesson about how Russo came into the business. I feel like this happens every NWA TNA show. Bearer starts complaining about Russo bringing in a bunch of freaks and giants into the wrestling business. I didn't hear Bearer complaining about The Undertaker and Kane. Bearer goes on to agree that the wrestling business is dead and he wants Russo to shake his hand and let him join his group. Russo then flips out and calls Bearer a fat piece of shit and says he's two-faced. They all beat up Bearer and then they smack him in the face with the soapbox. Bearer is bleeding, this is kind of disturbing. Randomly, the only person to try and save Bearer is Jorge Estrada. He gets a triple powerbomb for a table to thank him for his efforts. Suddenly a wild Slapnuts appears.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
He has a chair and he runs off about 20 men on his own. I wouldn't expect any less from Jeff Jarrett. The first match of the night is for the tag titles. The challengers are Divine Storm with Trinity. One of them now has blonde highlights to try and make them look less like twins, and also the Spanish announce team. The champions are James Storm and Chris Harris after winning the belts back recently. James Storm starts out kicking one of the twins in the temple. Harris is still wrestling here wearing his tag belt. Chris Harris decides to elevate his own partner to crash down on the twins on the outside. Harris and Storm are in firm control in the early gun as Storm hits a top rope dropkick into a Harris spinebuster. Trinity trips Storm to turn the match back around for her twins. The problem with these guys is that they've been on the show for about 10 episodes now and I still don't know which one is which. Which one is Quiet Storm and which one is Chris Divine? Trinity dives with a Hurricanrana to the outside to overshadow her team yet again. The commentary team luckily tell me that Quiet Storm hits a DDT on James Storm, thanks for that TNA. He tries a back senton but he misses. Chris Harris gets the tag and he hits a back suplex and a power slam. AMW tried to hit the death sentence but Trinity breaks up the move. It looks like Divine Storm are going to win the match but James Storm kicks out. One of the twins hits a huge senton to the outside and Chris Divine hits one of his own. Trinity also hits a moonsault to the outside. One of the twins then hits an RKO from the top rope on James Storm. James Storm then fights back and throws one of them out of the ring and he smacks the steps. Death sentence and it's over. Decent opener right there, but I wish Divine Storm could embroider their attire with their names on it or something. Give me something to work with here. Next up, we get a video package of AJ Styles being wacky and saying he wants to be heavyweight champion and zip it. I love that this was his catchphrase in 2003. That man is out now with a mic and he tells the crowd to zip it. AJ addresses the topic of who he's aligned with and says it's not the albino Harry Potter, it's not Vince Russo, and he's with no one. I'm getting deja vu here. His promo is interrupted by Ron the Truth and AJ says, what is this crap? Truth also has a mic and tells AJ that his breath smells like Sivolac. I have no idea what this is. One of my American viewers, please tell me. Truth says that he's first in line for a shot at Slapnuts and it turns into an impromptu matchup. This should be good. Truth sends AJ to the outside and then brings him back in with a sunset flip for a 2 count. AJ suddenly kicks Truth from the floor and hits a head scissors from the floor. Styles gets a 2 of his own from a dropkick. AJ starts dancing around and asking Truth to dance. Early AJ Styles was so wacky. Truth doesn't want to dance and he hits AJ with a downward spiral for a 2 count. AJ doesn't let him have the advantage for long and he catches him with a big spin kick. Styles hits a front slam and a senton. He doesn't pin him though, and instead he holds Truth in the air for 10 seconds with a vertical suplex. Styles clotheslines Truth in the corner and he continues his wacky celebrations. Styles eventually misses a dropkick and Truth almost rolls him up. Styles quickly shuts him down again though. AJ then applies a deathlock onto Truth, who hasn't managed much in this match. Truth eventually powers out of it and he headbutts Styles in the nutsack. Styles misses a discus clothesline and Truth looks like he's going to powerbomb him, but Styles lands on top of him, looked like a painful botch. Truth tries to go up top but AJ stops him. Truth fights him back and nails the back, sack and crack from the top. Jesus. The match looks like it should be over, but then albino Harry Potter appears and he distracts the referee. Whilst that's going on, David Flair appears in the ring and he hits Truth with a burlap sack to help AJ pin Truth. In the back, Goldilocks is dressed like a road warrior and she's interviewing Slapnuts and some road warriors. Slappy calls AJ Styles a punk and tells him to get in line for a shot at the title. Animal says that AJ is a chicken, a punk, a baby, and says they're going to end Russo. Back at the ring, AJ Styles has a microphone again and he tells Mike Tenay to get him a title shot. AJ says he won't leave until he gets a title shot, and then he drags Larry the Virgin Timekeeper out of his chair. AJ says he won't leave the ring until he gets his shot. Making his TNA debut, Larry Zybszko appears at the top of the ramp. Larry calls AJ a fool and says after 15 minutes of listening to Russo earlier he wants to cut his wrists. I know how he feels. He says Russo is a cancer. Wow, this show really has become the Vince Russo show. Larry doesn't let AJ speak and he carries on lecturing AJ about not joining Vince Russo. AJ says for the 50th time that he's not with Russo. Styles finally gets a chance to talk properly and he challenges Larry to a match and then he slaps him. So we've got that to look forward to at some point. Now we get a video package about Desire beating up Goldilocks and Athena last week. Lots of video packages on the show. All the clips are in super slow-mo because there's only really one clip, so they had to slow it down to drag it out for longer. Is this really necessary? Desire comes out to the ring now with Don't Look at My Ass. She will actually be having a match against April Hunter, who was last seen losing to Miss TNA Bruce. I wish they'd bring that dude back. Desire doesn't let her get started and jumps her. April Hunter turns it around with a head scissors and a big side slam. I'm surprised Desire could kick out of that. April tries a float over in the corner but she gets a drop kick to the back instead. Desire hits a big enziguri kick as her G-string almost flies through the air. April Hunter fights back with a suplex for a 2. April hits another slam and she heads up top but Don't Look Siaki stops her. Desire tries to climb up to meet her but she fails. She tries a second time and then she does manage to hit a Hurricanrana for the 3. This wasn't actually that bad, it was still better than what the WWE women were doing at the time. Athena, the ring girl, comes into the ring to brawl with Desire. It doesn't go well for her as Desire rips her top off. She then tries to rip her jeans off too. It's pretty awkward, it goes on for like 2 minutes. It's really weird, I'm not sure what's going on. Then it ends. What are they, the world's tightest jeans or something? Goldie is in the back watching a car as it pulls up, hoping it's Dusty Rhodes. But instead it's Mr. Wrestling 4, whoever that is. Now we get a video package about beyond boring Mike Sanders. Is this really necessary? I almost fell asleep. Now he's out to cut a promo. You have to be kidding me. This show has completely changed. I can't believe how much of a decrease in wrestling there's been. I believe promos are great and they should be a part of wrestling, but there needs to be a balance. Sanders says he's here to bore us to tears and to support everything Russo stands for. At this point, Vince Russo's name has been said over 100 times on the programme. Sanders says he's a talent scout for the SEX faction and he'll be looking for new members. He's interrupted by Jerry Lynn. Lynn also cuts a promo and he says that wrestling is about tradition and says he does his talking in the ring, so we've got another match here. Lynn quickly dives off the top with a bulldog and a 2 count. Lynn then sends him outside and gives him a baseball slide. Lynn follows it up with a leg drop over the ropes and then a slingshot into the ring. One of the Nazi twins appears at ringside as Beyond Boring drops Lynn on the turnbuckle. Sanders tries a knee to the gut but Lynn rolls him up and gets a couple of 2 counts. Sanders then randomly hits a pump handle and Lynn has a tough landing. Sanders is moving in slow motion as he punts Lynn in the face. Beyond Boring attempts a moonsault but catches nothing but mat. Jerry Lynn is back on top in this one now and he almost wins with a clothesline. Lynn goes up top and hits a big crossbody but the Nazi pulls the ref out the ring and smacks him one. Lynn doesn't realise this has happened and thinks he has the match won. Sanders kicks Lynn in the nutsack and hits a neckbreaker as a new referee arrives, but it's just a 2. Lynn has it won again with a sunset flip powerbomb, but again the Nazi takes the referee. Dusty Rhodes strolls out and he beats up the Nazi. Lynn then wins it on his 3rd attempt with the TKO. It wasn't that bad to be fair, but Lynn was clearly streets ahead of his opponent. Dusty is here now to cut yet another promo. Dusty calls Russo a cancerous man. Dusty says that Russo likes writing to have a midget beating off in a trash can. Wasn't that before Russo was in TNA? At least in storyline terms anyway. He just talks about tradition versus sports entertainment. Dusty says tonight the boys in the back will need to decide whose side they're on. He brings up the midget thing 4 times. I think he secretly really liked it. Dusty says he's going to hang around for a bit to make Russo's life a nightmare. That very man then comes out again and says Dusty should thank him for turning his son into gold dust and creating a star. Russo says that he always wanted to slap Dusty Rhodes and proposes that they both join the main event 8-man tag tonight, so we might have Russo's first TNA match to look forward to. Russo says that if his team win tonight, then next week all the titles will be on the line and he'll get to pick the challengers. Russo then ends it by saying before you go in the back and beat off in a trash can, be careful what you wish for. I was surprised to learn that Dusty Rhodes had 16 TNA matches, maybe a future Ring of the Hawk video. Jason Cross is out now, he looks like a young AJ Styles. I'm sure we're safe and he's not going to cut a promo. His opponent is the master of the cab driver slam, David Young. David Young throws Jason Cross off his head but he falls over. Lots of botches tonight. Jason Cross hits a senton to the outside as the camera cuts to Richard Apin, a fat man in a blue t-shirt. I wonder what he thinks of David Young. He's probably his idol. Young drives Cross into the ring apron and brings him back in. Cross and Young keep reversing each other but Cross gets the best of it.
NWA Impact brings you the Smack of the Week, sponsored by all new Blonde for Men. If you're a brown-haired Potter, put some blonde in it. It makes you look hotter.
It's David Young and Jason Cross right here. Jason Cross is going to try and pull David Young overhead, but the cab driver pulls him overhead. Then Jason Cross lands on his feet. He kicks him in the gut. He's going for a suplex. David Young reverses it again. He flips over and he goes behind, but then Jason Cross goes behind. It's like a night at Bridgewater Brothel, man. Might as well rename him Crossroads.
That was the NWA TNA Smack of the Week, sponsored by Blonde Just for Men. Get it? Got it? Shove it.
Cross follows it up with a somersault leg drop. He then athletically lands on his feet from a German suplex, but he gets nailed with a David Young power move straight after. The back and forth match continues as Young misses an attack in the corner. Jason Cross hits a swanton bomb to literally no reaction.
Dude, I was watching the TNA show the other day, man, and this dude, Jason Cross, he used my swanton finisher maneuver, man, and it didn't end the match. You need to protect my finisher, man. I'm going back to Carolina, and I'm going to tell my stoner friend Shannon all about you, man.
Cross hits another move from the top, but then he tries the crossfire, but he misses. And there it is, cab driver slam, the cab driver slam. Mold Dog is arguing with his half man, half mold dad. Then Konnan is suddenly in the ring, smacking everyone with a kendo stick. The fat man who we saw earlier comes into the ring looking like an obese Del boy. That's it, great debut for Konnan there. X Division title match now, it's Don't Look at My Ass Siaki with Desire. He's taking on Kid Cash who's with Trinity. That's random, I expect this to be a good match though, probably match of the night. Cash and Trinity hit double drop kicks. This is a massive upgrade for Trinity managing Cash, even if it is random. Kid Cash is being too cocky and Siaki drops him over the crowd barrier. Cash fights back, sending Siaki into the barrier and he launches a chair into his face. Kid Cash gets him back in the ring and hits a nice top rope leg drop. Sonny Siaki with an overhead suplex into the corner next. A lot of back and forth matches tonight as Cash hits a springing moonsault. Kid Cash also hits the bank roll for a 2 count. Siaki gets straight up and hits a tombstone pile driver for a 2 count. Cash does another double springboard into Hurricanrana and then a springboard DDT. Desire breaks up the pin for her man. Desire keeps on cheating in this match and she trips Cash and Siaki wins. So much for Trinity, what was the point in her being there? At least she takes Desire out after the match for a big DDT. Just the main event 8-man tag now, it'll be Triple X and Vince Russo who is introduced as the former WCW champion. He has a cheap tracksuit on and a hockey helmet. They'll be facing the Road Warriors who have the Abyss theme music, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and of course, Slapnuts. Massive size advantage for Team TNA. I still find Jeff Jarrett as a babyface in TNA a bit weird. Last week, Jarrett beat all 3 of these Triple X guys up on his own, so I don't know why Slapnuts would need teammates. Daniel starts out with Jarrett and he kicks him down straight away. They keep countering each other until Jarrett smacks him one, and Daniels has to bail. Low-Key is now in against Animal, who easily overpowers him. Low-Key tries to use his speed and he springs onto Animal, but he gets countered with a powerbomb. The ref gets distracted and Skipper illegally knees Animal in the head. Low-Key then drop kicks him in the face. Triple X's offense doesn't last long as Animal turns it around with a double suplex. The Hawk is in now and he boots Skipper in the face. Hawk follows up with a dropkick. Skipper shows his Matrix-like moves and hits a spin kick, but Hawk no-sells it. This Hawk is one scary looking dude, he's a bit like me. Hawk hits a gut-wrench suplex and brings Jarrett back in. Russo starts trying to cheap shot Jarrett, but it's not very effective. Jarrett takes Triple X out on his own, but Jarrett is distracted by Russo. SEX beat Jarrett up on the outside of the ring whilst Jarrett's team do literally nothing to help him. Back in the ring, Daniels and Skipper get a 2-count double front suplex. Jarrett makes the tag eventually, but the ref doesn't see it, so he carries on being isolated. Jarrett has Daniels rolled up for about 10 seconds whilst the ref runs around pretending he can't see it. Should have gone to Specsavers, mate. Daniels and Loki hit a dropkick spinebuster combination. Daniels then puts a Boston on as Loki springs back in with a knee drop. Somehow that's just a 2. Eventually Dusty Rhodes legally gets the tag. He has elbows for everyone, but Russo is still scared. Russo eventually does get in the ring, but then Mr. Wrestling 4 appears in the ring and he hits Dusty with a chain. Elix Skipper makes the pin and SEX win. Mr. Wrestling 4 then takes off his mask and it's Nikita Koloff for some reason. What a bunch of random appearances from wrestlers from the 80s on this show. And that's it. A bit light on wrestling and there's definitely too much Russo. Let's check out episode 29 now.
Hey, it's John Bad Johnson. I hope you're all enjoying the video. If you're in a 10-year loan with credit card debt, do yourself a favour. Save some money for free with SaveWithJohnBad.com. I like birds, specifically hawks. Now what say you? If you're in too much debt to afford a bird table, I can build you one for free without doing anything to your credit card debt. Go into your trash right now, get your recycling, get some cardboard from Walmart. Get it. What you want to do is get all your cardboard and sprinkle it all over your washing line to build a platform. Make sure you use enough. Go to your local Goodwill if you need some cardboard. Get some scotch tape and join it all together. And voila! One bird table. Cover it with bread and seeds and watch the feathers fly. It sure feels good to save money. Now what say you? If you want to find more ways to save money, check out SaveWithJohnBad.com. It's not a matter if I can save you money, it's a matter of how much. It's SaveWithJohnBad.com.
It starts out with JB sat in Australia. Not sure if this is real or a green screen. He's just thanking the Australian fans who now have access to watch TNA. We start with a match on this episode. It's a 6-man tag. The master of the cab driver slam, Shark Boy and Jimmy Yang, who is randomly back in TNA after ages. Their opponents, oh no. You know, there's something seriously wrong with these SAT guys. They have literally zero personality. Are they twins? I can't tell them apart, but at least I can tell you that the amazing Red is also with them. The Spanish dudes hit triple leg drops from the top to start us off. Red gets elevated to the outside, then the Spanish announce team try to choreograph too much and they botch. Then they do it again with a surfboard submission and Red stamping 1 foot down on Shark Boy. Yang comes into the match with a big springboard kick and then he does a pointless flip off an SAT. The Maximos use this as a chance to fight back and they hit an Inzaguri. The SAT then hits a big boot in the corner and quickly hits a bridging suplex for a 2. Yang nails a kick of his own and brings David Young in. He hits an overhead suplex into the corner. Red's now back in and he hits a big DDT before Young goes back to his power game. Shark Boy comes into the match, he hits a drop kick as Red springs from the ropes. Red kicks the hell out of Shark Boy before bringing one of his cousins in. This is Jose Maximo, but it doesn't matter what his name is. Young and Yang hit a double suplex for a 2. The Maximo hits a big suplex of his own and he's able to tag out after being isolated for a while. His twin brother is in now with kicks and a brainbuster. He heads up top but misses the senton bomb. Jeff Hardy would have hated this episode. Now David Young's in and he shows some agility. He goes back to his suplex game. Young flies off the top with a side salt but he only gets a 2. Then there's a double down. This is already the longest match we've seen on this video so far. Red and Yang show off their wrestling skill until Yang hits a powerbomb with authority. Red turns it around with the octopus stretch but Young breaks it up. Cab driver slam. The cab driver slam. It's not the end of the match though because one of the SATs drop kicks him from the top and he knees his own cousin in the head in the process. Shark Boy hits the deep sea drop but he gets sent to the outside and sort of hit with an acai moonsault. Yang and Red are moving at a million miles an hour here. I don't know how they have time to think. Amazing Red eventually wins the match with a top rope code Red. Good match, but calm it with the kicks. People say there's too many nowadays, but back in 2003 there was 30 kicks in this one match. Konnan appears now with a kendo stick and he beats up David Young. What's his problem with the cab driver? Did he shortchange him or something? The fat man is back again to ask Konnan to leave. I don't get why this guy's suddenly a main character, I literally never saw him before today. The SEX music then hits and I start to cringe. Will this episode be a repeat of the last one? There are 20 men in the ring, but only don't look at my ass matters. Russo picks on a fan who has a sign saying that Russo's a virgin and asks him to check with his mother. Russo starts calling out TNA about ratings and says TNA is up 20% in viewership. Russo also says that the SEX t-shirt is the #1 selling t-shirt. Anyone have one of these? Russo starts dishing out title shots. He says who wants to face the cowboy and the underwear model. Why does he keep saying this? Was there any truth about Chris Harris being an underwear model? He says that Loki and Skipper will challenge them for the belts. He turns his attention to Siaki and says he'll have to defend his X Division title tonight in a three-way dance against one of the two jobbers who were on TNA a few weeks ago and also Athena. What a match that would be. Russo tells her that she brings her knee pads every week and she's going to need them tonight. He turns his attention to Slapnuts and says it's going to be a 4-corner match for the heavyweight title under Gauntlet rules. It will be the Henderson Hillbilly versus Christopher Daniels versus Moldog versus Don Harris. Wow, what a boring match. Imagine paying money to see that. It goes from bad to worse now as Russo invites Mike Sanders to speak on the mic. He says that he's acquired some new talent for SEX and next week we'll meet a new member of the group, but he also has one for tonight. As we are broadcasting in Australia tonight, here is the Australian heavyweight champion, Ashley Hudson. It's a man with a stupid hat, an Australian flag and a boomerang. Don't get too used to this guy, he won't be here long. I actually think this is his second TNA match, it's probably his last. He's having a match against Jorge Estrada, who's still flying to Graceland, which reminds me, hit subscribe and join us on the Flying to Graceland World Tour as we travel to 100k subscribers. And if you won't, I'll rip your teeth out with pliers. Apparently this guy was in WCW, but I don't remember that. Jorge sends him out the ring and tries a dive onto him, but he's lucky he has a lot of hair to cushion him as his head hits the ground. Jorge comes back in with a weird moonsault that barely hits again. Then he tries a springing move, but he gets a kick in the gut instead. The Australian heavyweight champion starts choking Jorge across the ropes. They fight on the outside with Jorge getting dropped across the steps. Hudson gets it back in the ring with a leg drop. This guy has a mustache that makes him look like a predator. Ashley tries a suplex which Jorge tries to reverse, but then they just collapse on the mat. Jorge starts his comeback and does a springing cannonball. Then he does a springboard moonsault for a 2. Jorge tries another dive, but Hudson shoves the referee into the ropes. He can't hit anything though, and Jorge hits a crossbody. Unfortunately, Hudson rolls it over and he has the tights for the 3. After the match, Beyond Boring tries to recruit Estrada into the group, but he doesn't want to do it. This is a shame because I actually think he'd be a good fit. We get another Zip It package now, so I skipped it. It was like AJ's catchphrase was exactly what I was thinking. The living legend Larry Zybszko is out now. He's still in decent shape at this point. At least he's not morbid like a bunch of his colleagues. He takes on AJ Styles, who limps to the ring like an old bastard. I think he's taking this match lightly. Last time Larry wrestled on TV, it was against Scott Hall in 1998 WCW. Larry scores the first takedown and Styles looks a bit less cocky. Larry takes Styles down again and puts on a head scissors. Styles frantically tries to escape, but he can't for about a minute before he finally makes the ropes. Larry continues to out-wrestle Styles, who eventually kips up. Styles tries to quicken the pace, but Larry hits him with a hip toss. Styles does ground Larry eventually with a knee to the slash zone. Styles is enjoying this one more now and he super kicks Larry out of the ring. Albino Potter is shown watching from the ramp. I don't know why he keeps coming back. Larry wants to go high risk, but the ref stops him for some reason. This allows AJ Styles to get the advantage. Later on in the match, Larry hits a back body drop for a 2. He tries a suplex, but AJ reverses it. Out of nowhere, AJ rolls up Larry with his feet on the ropes. I guess experience counts for nothing then. Styles argues with Mike Tenay like last week, and again he asks for a title match. I don't think Mike Tenay is the best person to ask. It wouldn't be an NWA TNA review without talking about the cage dancers. They have a nice Australian theme tonight, but unfortunately it's just the 2 usual blonde ones. The Hawk likes variety. Goldilocks interviews Jerry, Lynn and Truth in the back. She asks Lynn what it would do if TNA goes out of business. He says he doesn't know. The SEX music hits again, and this time it's Beyond Boring and David Flair with his sack. This is not a team I can get behind. They take on Truth and Lynn. Surely this should be an easy win for them. Truth throws himself out the ring by missing a punch. Lynn almost puts Sanders away twice, and then Lynn takes out Flair and Sanders at the same time. Sanders eventually stops Lynn's offense by cheating. Apparently Flair and Sanders have some double team moves. Maybe this will be an exciting new cornerstone of the TNA tag division. Lynn eventually gets cut off and this goes on for a surprisingly long time. It almost sent me to sleep. Mike Sanders spends a lot of time playing to the crowd and Lynn is able to trip him up and tag out. Truth hits the splits into the scissors kicks for a 2 count. Ron Truth stupidly tags straight back out and he takes too long leaving the ring, so the referee is distracted. David Flair smacks Lynn with a sack and Flair and Sanders have just beaten Lynn and Truth. How the mighty have fallen. Sanders makes fun of Truth and then he leaves. Now we get a Piper pre-tape segment. He's still blaming Russo for Owen Hart's death. He says Russo has underestimated him and he says that he has a bunch of guys coming for Russo. This is such a weird promo. Piper says he can't come in body but he can come in mind. Why would Russo care then? Piper says he's seen people die and then he says the spirit of Kid Cash is dead. What the hell is he on about? Kid Cash seemed fine on the last match. I honestly have no idea what the hell that promo was about. Look it up and you guys tell me. Tag title match now. It's Low Ki and Skipper with Christopher Daniels. The champions are AMW. This has potential to be good. I wish they'd give AMW some damn mic time. Storm and Low Ki both have a lot of intensity, but then there's a botch. Again. AMW has some really nice double team moves. They're getting better in the ring every week. Never seen that slingshot leg sweep combination. Then they send Low Ki into Skipper. AMW continue working together so Harris can hit a bulldog. Skipper gets double back body dropped. Daniels has to grab Storm's leg so Skipper can hit a belly to belly to turn the match around for them. Triple X hit a springboard kick into a spinebuster on Storm. Skipper shows why he's considered one of the most underrated in-ring workers of all time. This guy is always capable of something impressive. Later in the match, Harris has the match won with a sit-out powerbomb, but the ref is distracted. A lot of that tonight. Skipper also thinks he has the match won with a tiger suplex. Low Ki then runs off Skipper's back and hits a Shining Wizard for another 2. Skipper matrixes out of a pin attempt later on, but then he gets last call super kick by Storm in the face. I like that. AMW should have the match won, but Daniels interferes and stops it. Harris again has the match won with a catatonic, but again the referee is distracted. Then Triple X win as Skipper uses one of the belts. Wow, that was a short tag title reign. That was, what, 2 weeks? Why does that even count? Half Man, Half Mold is annoyed about this and rants about SEX now having the tag belt and the X Division belt. The X Division title match is now. It's Athena versus some ham and egger Chris Vaughn who looks like a young Jimmy Rave versus the champion Sonny Siaki with Desire. Vaughn almost rolls him up a couple of times before Siaki catches him and hits a Samoan drop variation. Siaki doesn't want the match to end yet. Athena kicks Siaki in the nutsack as Vaughn nails a dropkick. There's a big cat fight going on outside the ring. Then the match ends as Siaki hits the Siakalypse now. Sonny wants to attack Athena, but Trinity, who seems to be messing in everyone's business tonight, dropkicks her. She also gives Desire a head scissors. Siaki now has Trinity, but Kid Cash makes the save. I guess Piper was wrong. He certainly seems fine to me. Goldilocks is now in the Sports Entertainment Extreme locker room. They're celebrating winning the tag titles. Russo isn't happy with them because they've got one more match tonight and they can't party until they have the world title. Pretty sensible, to be fair. Next up, Dusty Rhodes calls out Nikita Koloff. I almost forgot that happened last week. Koloff can't make it over the fence and waits for a while for them to unlock it and then instead breaks through it. Rhodes says he wants to try and forgive Nikita for his actions last week and tries to remind him who he is. He invites Koloff into the ring. Russo stops him and says that because he's Russian he doesn't understand what's happening. He says SEX are here to save the wrestling business. Both men start begging Koloff to join them. Koloff makes his decision and takes out Dusty. He doesn't actually leave with Russo, so it's not clear if he's joined SEX. The main event is all that's left now. It's the 3 SEX guys versus Jarrett. Tenay dashes backstage and reminds him that everyone is relying on him tonight and says all their jobs are on the line. Who's ready to see Jarrett beat up 3 guys? Gauntlet rules here, so the first 2 eliminations are made when 2 people are dumped out of the ring, and then it's just a one-on-one match. Mold Dog is distracted because he keeps arguing with his stupid mouldy brother. It turns into a hardcore match as every Jeff Jarrett match must have chair shots and crowd brawling. Daniels takes himself out by diving off a balcony for a table. They do eventually come back into the ring and Road Dogg hits the pump handle slam. The Mold Dogs are still fighting each other. The Nazi hits a Nazi bomb but the ref refuses to count. He takes off his shirt to unleash his skinny pale body which almost blinds me and he kicks Road Dogg in the nutsack. Jarrett uses the distraction to eliminate the Nazi and Mold Dog. Now it's just between Daniels and Jarrett one-on-one. There's a huge chaotic brawl happening so it's hard to focus on the match. Dusty Rhodes is in the Sports Entertainment Extreme locker room and they're all cowering in fear despite there being about 10 of them there. Daniels nails the BME but of course he can't beat Slapnuts. Daniels tries a top rope dive but Jarrett dodges it and hits the stroke and it's over. It was never really in doubt, was it? Even if it was 10-on-1. The TNA locker room spill out to celebrate with Jarrett. Borash tries to interview Slapnuts, but suddenly Raven rushes the ring to make his TNA debut. He hits a Raven effect DDT and then runs away from the shocked TNA guys, stealing the belt in the process. Then he joins Russo. If he had Raven this whole time in his back pocket and wanted him as the champion, why didn't he just put him in the main event? To swerve people, I guess. Well, that's it for another time. Even if nobody watches this, I enjoyed it. So many debuts and crazy things happening as usual. And if you don't like the tone coming out of my lip bits, I'll do like AJ Styles and tell you to zip it.